All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Golden Dice Podcast, episode number 48. We're so close to that number 50. We're back on schedule of weekly podcasts, so it's feeling pretty good. And this week, we have Scott and Brian with us. How are you two doing?
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Living life?
Oh, yeah.
Like today, so let me know how that works for you guys.
We can hear you. You don't sound like a muffled robot.
Fantastic. That's all I'm looking for. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
All aces.
beautiful.
Amazing. Scott and I had a nice, some bonding time this week, or
Yeah, we were
yesterday.
the only two people to show up to, our local open play, because I think the thunderstorm/tornado warning in Pennsylvania may have kept people inside their houses.
Maybe.
Just a slight hunch.
And it's
Yeah.
also apparent that our local game store is awful.
Yeah, we're
Pretty bad.
they either close, don't want to have room for us, or I don't even know how to describe this current one.
Yeah. So, I guess basically to explain, because I feel like this is a story worth telling, anyways.
It's pretty funny.
Our a few months ago, our local game store that we mainly went to closed. We went to a new one, and they pretty much had all the product, but they didn't really care to listen to anything that we had to say. You know, if we wanted to do a weekend tournament or try to expand on things, they just didn't really give us, actually give us a voice. So it was a little frustrating. We
We can have space on Monday,
yeah.
and
And-
that's the only day. And unfortunately, that day actually doesn't work for next to anybody locally.
Yeah, and it's also not only did they just give us Monday, they gave us like a table, which I get our numbers were waning, but they're like, yeah, this is Keyforge space now. If you guys just want to like not bother anybody, that's perfect.
Well, we
Keyforge
don't
is
even
just
have to
as-
worry about that now because Keyforge is dead there too.
Yeah.
Super dead there.
Yeah, they're very much like a behemoth of we're making money no matter what, so we don't really care about these smaller games, and that's what the our second store was. This third one is like the opposite of that. They care about like the local games, but they also don't like have any product or want to order any product. And so I've been asking them about the this new open play kit. And going back, I actually checked my messages with them. They told me they were ordering 4 of them. A while back, I read through all the messages. He says, awesome, I ordered a box of Destiny, and I ordered 4 of the new kits. And I was like, all right, this is off to a great start. And so some of the stores are starting to get the open play kits that some of you might have seen. They're like 6 different cards. They, I think, feature up to 8 people are on the kit.
Did he maybe think you meant draft kits?
No. He knew they were the seasonal
Okay.
Q1 because the draft
They
kits
got
weren't
in
even
draft
on the.
kits, and they sold the draft kits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get any draft kits from them, so I didn't know how many they got in. I thought maybe they got 4, and then
No, they got 12 of those.
I was just trying to help
Yeah.
them out, but no,
Nope.
they're bad.
Nope. Yeah. So, anyways, in the beginning they said that. So eventually they ordered one box originally, but it was so slow to get in that we had to use like our own collection. We had to buy from another store to start the sealed league at this store. So they're losing sales there. They eventually get the box, and we use that for our sealed league. I say order 3 more, and that should be good. And we'll probably use about half those, and then the other ones might just be random loose packs that people will pick up. And so he does that. We use about a box and a half, so there should be a box and a half left. And he also orders 12 draft kits. They all sell. And so with my estimates, he should have sold 2.5 boxes and have a box and a half left, along with all the profit from the 12 draft kits. But now they're saying that they don't want to order this new season play kit. Keep in mind, it's a $5 kit. If they need me to front that cost, I'll front that cost of $5. Because product is sitting on their shelves, and they don't want to order more stuff while they're still operating in the negative. And so, I mean, Scott and I were kind of going through and trying to add the pricing. I messaged the guy. I want to confirm. I'm like, hey, you ordered 4 boxes and 12 kits, right? And this is what you sold so far. And all of a sudden, he tells me that there's 6 boxes that he ordered. And I was like, well, I had never told you to order that. I said the 1 in the beginning and the 3 after that should be good. Especially because once the sealed league over, like I said, nobody's going to really be buying packs. So on top of all of that, there's 2 other things that went on. Scott, while I was away on honeymoon, they did a draft. Scott calls ahead and says, like, hey, I just want to make sure that you have a box for us to draft with. We might have like 5 to 6 people. We'll need a whole box. And they tell what they say that they have half of open box and that's it.
They said they had an open box that some packs had been sold out of it. So in my mind, I'm immediately like, all right, so that can cover 4 people. I knew there was 4 people coming because 4 people, I mean, literally it was like 2 carloads. That was the 4 people. So I knew the 4 people were coming. So I immediately knew that we needed more product than that because if anyone came, and that's the whole idea of this, that, people might come. So I had to go to, again, the other store that doesn't have space for us, but has a ton of product and get a box there. We go in, we do a draft with the box that I got because obviously, like, I'm not like losing money to run events. That would be stupid of me. And then lo and behold, nope, they have the open box of like 24 packs, 20 packs, something like that, and then a sealed box. So they had the box. So they just lost out on a box worth of sales.
Yep, all because the person behind the counter didn't know what was happening.
Didn't know it was there.
And then we get on to the second story. Many of you know Banana Crapshoot from Discard to Reroll. He actually isn't from our local area, but sometimes his work kind of brings him our way. So he was passing through the area of where our local game store is. He knew we were trying to get stuff started there. He wanted to pop in, check it out. As he's there, he tries to buy a box, and they tell him, no, you can't buy a box. And so now we're at this point where they say they have these extra boxes sitting on the shelf, and they don't want to order the new open play kit, which is $5, because they're currently sitting on product when they missed out on a draft. So let's say that was 2/3 of a box with 4 people there.
It would have been 24 packs.
Yeah,
we actually did a draft with the whole box just because, again, I don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
On like fronting a box, but yeah, 24 packs.
So they lost on.
They would have been down to the 1 sealed box that they have that they could have sold.
Yep.
And the reason they told Banana Crapshoot that they didn't, or they say they told Banana Crapshoot they didn't want to sell him the box was because they were reserving it for draft.
And
we couldn't use it for draft because they didn't know it was there.
And he also stopped in a week and a half after the draft that you did.
And then apparently sometime between then and now, 2 more boxes have been ordered.
Yeah. When I told him don't order anymore after the 3. Like 4 4 is plenty.
So we're at like a real impasse here. I we're supposed to sit down with the owner of the store on Tuesday and try and get him to walk us through what his goals and expectations are with this, because based on this to this point, like, we might as well just buy from the store that gets in product and
I think the answer is clear. I think the answer is no. Don't even. Yeah. Exactly. That was my answer. Never mind. I thought you were gonna say at Top Tech. Nah, just do it at Jack's house. He's got all this new space. Beautiful new space.
If FFG would allow us to run, if we could get kits and event kits, right? I would gladly run it as all right, we'll find space to hold these things.
I work at a church with a giant building
space
that has open space that could easily hold, like, I bet if we set up all the tables we could hold well over 200 people in that room.
You think work would let that happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think they care. I think if the space was being used and they charge like a small fee, which would easily it could be covered in the reimbursement of, like if we held like a big event. If it's just us playing, then we're not going to take up the whole FLC. We could take one of the many classrooms, which are still spacious. But yeah, I mean, like, literally, like, why not partner? Like, I don't know. This is just thinking like way outside the box, but like Artificery is like an online dealership or whatever, not dealership. That's not dealership. Online retailer of Destiny. And it's like, imagine if we partnered with them and like we were able to get cases, all of our locals got it through them and like supported them, and then we just played at a place, like my work or somewhere else that's an open space.
Yeah, we rent a VFW hall.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we could. It's at this point that might be the easier option. We could probably even just go and be like, hey, Top Deck, order us kits. We'll buy them off you at cost, and then we'll just run the events outside of Top Deck.
Yeah. And it's.
I mean, they might not want to risk the, distributor issues that might entail. they might not care. Maybe, well, we've seen that FFG is willing to allow people to run regionals that don't own stores. Maybe they're willing to do this. I don't know. That might be our best solution, but I think Tuesday we're going to sit down and see if
Yeah.
we can't, because it's the real downside is, had we gotten this started earlier, he would have gotten box sales from the sets drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because they didn't want to invest in that much product. But if they just wait to the next set, just between the immediate play group that we can guarantee sales for them, that's what?
It's got to
2
be close.
dozen plus boxes?
I was going to say close to 30.
If we show them a
Yeah.
picture of me holding an entire case that I bought, I think they'd be like,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, we'll go ahead and do it.
This
Yeah,
could
it's
be
like,
you.
It's just me
But you
alone,
playing.
but the blue black.
We'll
I'm
call
sorry,
that we'll
Jack,
call that
agree.
30 boxes initial purchase plus
Plus another
plus
4.
another draft. Yeah, 4 for like draft things. So, 34 boxes, 4 of which are going to be at MSRP. They don't even need to give us as steep of a discount as Top Deck was giving, so they can easily clear like $30+ on each box
Yeah.
for no effort, guaranteed sales.
And I think the most frustrating thing out of all of this is like Top Deck, I think, is my frustration, because I get Tiki Tiki because they're almost like they're more of a board game store than like a card game type thing where like tournaments happen. And that's the vibe they want to go for. That's fine. And I think that means we would just have a really casual setting with Destiny, which is fine and great for new players and things like that, and the open play that we're trying to get going.
Mhm.
But like Top Deck is probably in a vacuum like the best thing that we could ask for as players, because you walk in, there's always product. They're selling it at the cheapest prices because they buy in bulk and are making so much money in other areas, right? Like their boxes they sell for 85 every time.
Color ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like literally they are stocked to the brim like of anything that you want. They have a lot of board games. You walk in, if you play Destiny every week but you want to grab the new X-Wing set or the Imperial Assault, like they have every single thing. And it's not even like, oh, they have to order it, I have to wait 2 weeks for it to come in, whatever. Like it's there. They have it. Trust me. It's somewhere in that building. And like the space is like, they're not huge, but they're not tiny either. Like we held it was Store Champ, it was like maybe around 30 people this past year, and it was spacious, and there was still like that back room that we could have used if it got to that point.
Yeah, you could run a regional there and
Absolutely.
easily get 80+ people.
Parking would be awful, but yeah, certainly
Parking
could.
would be parking's not. Yeah, you just have to park like.
Tiki
in
would be
college
pretty
all
bad
day.
too, though.
Yeah, they'd all be bad. But yeah, it's I'm not mad at Top Deck. They have product for me. I could go walk in now. They close in a minute, but I could walk in there now and they have product for me to buy.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think the
And their pre-order price is ridiculous.
85,
Otherwise,
literally as low as it
why not?
goes.
That's why.
Yeah.
There's no reason otherwise.
So it's I can't get mad at Tiki Tiki for not necessarily wanting to give us the space, because I know Pokemon brings in more money. I know Magic brings in more money. I know probably a lot of those miniatures games bring in more money. I don't get what Tiki is if their expectations, or if they're like that, like tight-fisted as far as like what they want to invest and whatnot, then sell the box to Banana Crapshoot.
yeah, that's like the overarching
Makes more
thing.
sense to me.
Or don't order boxes without us being like, hey, can you get in more
Yeah.
boxes?
I think he
Guys-
got wide-eyed from the sealed league. Like he was like, "Oh my gosh, that first night we went through a box and a half. Let's order more so I can keep getting money off this," and like didn't ask about that.
Yeah, it's just I don't it's a common it's a common refrain. Everybody that's listening to this has, I'm sure you've had local game store issues.
Yeah,
And it's usually on one end or the other. Either they just don't have the capital to be having products sit on their shelves, or they do, but you're not their
Yeah.
big ticket customers.
Right.
It was great. It was really great when we had, back when Tommy didn't have a family and I was younger, and we just literally spent all of our money on games, and we had all things fun. And Tommy and I were like in the top 12 of the amount of the money that customers had spent in total when they shut down. So it was great because we spent so much money there that they did just give us run of the show. Like, oh, you want to do something for the Star Wars LCG? Sure, pick a day. And we were friendly with them too. So it was like the best possible situation in that regard. And since that's gone the way of the dinosaur, now we're stuck
Yeah.
with this situation.
ATK was fine too. Like they were the store that let us run like our release events and
Learn to play events.
yeah, and because of that, Steve told me that was the single like those days that we held that was like the most Destiny he's ever sold outside of pre-orders. Like the first time we did it, he must have sold like 5 boxes and probably about like 10 starters. Like he just couldn't believe it. He was out of
Sold all those
product.
boxes. Had
Yeah.
he had more boxes, he would have sold more.
Yeah.
But again, that's still in that same situation of like, you know, he didn't want to.
You don't want to be sitting on it.
And yeah, they don't even sit on it. And it's funny to me because, you know, you look at it and you're like, yeah, I get it. These stores don't want to take a risk. And one of the reasons Tiki Tiki doesn't want to take a risk on this is because they bought in late to Awakenings. And they got stuck holding a lot of Awakenings. But they're kind of doing the same thing again, where they're coming in late and then sticking themselves with it. And really all they need to do is just text you and be like, what are your event plans? How much product do we need to have in? And then you tell them exactly how much product they need to have in for our needs. And if they want to go and get an extra box to try and sell, that should, you know, they can do that if they want. But like, yeah, it's just guaranteed sales that they could be having that they've missed out on because of just poor communication.
Yeah, it's a shame too. Like I feel like South Jersey has like a player base that could thrive. Maybe not be the biggest, but be consistent in getting like a decent sized crowd. But I feel like, you know, in the past 6 months, this is our like third store. You know, we went from all the King's Men to Top Deck, and now we're at Tiki, and now it's like the option we're looking at of either going back to Top Deck or like starting our own place. Like we're just not. It's not a good spot despite having like there's us and obviously like the ABG guys, and then obviously everybody that like.
As far as like weekly events, yeah, it's a little hard to sustain things. But if we were to do like a tournament every other month, easily could get good attendance for that. If we were to do a store championship, obviously we've already gotten good attendance for that. And if you look at the other regionals held in this area between, you know, you have Maryland, you have Highlander, and then you have that big group over in what is it, Alternate Reality?
Alternate Universe, yeah.
Alternate Universe. If you were to put a regional here,
oh yeah,
it's going to be again one of the bigger. It's going to be in that 80-person range. So it just sucks that we don't have a store that we can put it in.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll figure it out. We should move on to things that matter to people that don't live in South Jersey / Philadelphia.
the plight of local game store though is real to all, I'm sure.
It is.
I think it's relatable for sure.
Smurley was talking about like community building, tips and everything like that. And I hope he does do that article. You should get on that there. But yeah, a lot of it does come down to like luck. If you don't have a game store that like wants to give you the time of day one way or the other, you're stuck.
Side note, Smurley has written 3 articles for us, and that makes him the third most written of the Golden Dice website.
Yikes.
Low bar, guys, low bar.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll move on to
garbage take opinions. Look at the Sinister Peace fiasco I had. I'm just bad all around. I don't know.
I hear that there was a stream about organized play for X-Wing and Destiny.
I hear there was, and we had Worlds.
I will freely admit, as soon as I heard the dates, I turned it off because I start my job with an accounting firm on October 14th. So I'm like, oh, I can't go. And then 2 seconds later, I see in one of the Discords, oh yeah, there's a 1B on Saturday and the finals are on Sunday. I'm like, oh, I can go again because weekends.
Yep.
But by that point, I was like, I'm not turning the stream back on. I've missed too much. Recap.
Yeah. So this is I'm assuming it was compiled by him. He usually does a good job at this, but this list that we have here is from Inception, and we posted on our Facebook wells if you want to see it. I'm sure some of the other content creators did it, but yeah, Worlds is October 16th to the 20th at River Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was kind of hoping it would actually be a week earlier, just for my personal life's sake, but
that
would have
been great because I would have still not been working, and that would have been not working. That would have been awesome, but hey, such is.
Yeah.
I've already decided that whatever job I find by October, I will be taking off.
I mean, you could do the Scott route too, if you just leave it on. If you fly out Friday night. You know what I mean? Like this Saturday Sunday thing is a good thing. I mean,
I could take off. Well, I guess I wouldn't need to, right? I just kind of want to go. Like I've never been. I've always heard good things, and
I was gonna say if you can, yeah.
I mean, I definitely, even if I would take off just Friday if I could and go out, because I've heard from
I would
you
say
and Tommy and Scott for like not just Worlds, but like Gen Con too, like all these kinds of things. And I loved Nova. I thought was really really cool, just a cool atmosphere and like so I definitely want to get out there if I can.
yeah, I would if you have your druthers, to our listeners out there, go all the days if you can afford to, even though like you might not be playing on what is it, Wednesday and Thursday or whatever it is. Even if you don't like, just go. It's fun. It'll be much more fun than whatever else you were gonna do.
Yeah, I'm
You
trying
don't
to
have
fly
like
in on Wednesday.
kids and whatnot that are gonna miss you and things like that. You should do it. But yeah, if times are tight, I would say take that half day on Friday just so you can get in at a reasonable hour, and you'll be good to
Yeah.
go Saturday and Sunday, and that'll be a nice little trip out. I think we saw the last flight coming back to our area is at like 8:30 on Sunday, and that'll get
That's
us home.
totally
Yeah.
cool.
That'll get
Yeah.
us home at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect.
I'm sure I can.
No,
suffer,
you should be home
I'm
at.
sure I can suffer through Monday. Well, because you got to remember the time difference.
Yeah, but they're
That's not that
going.
big a time difference.
Yeah. It's like what, a 3-hour flight? You'll probably get home around midnight.
It's like a 4 hour flight.
Oh, so one. It's not that big.
Yeah,
I've
not
done
really.
much worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Did they say? I don't. I mean, we're not even into it yet, and I'm jumping the gun.
Do
but
it.
did they say if they're doing staff challenges again or no?
They didn't do them at Worlds, I don't believe.
Oh, they don't do them at
They
World.
said side events. So,
Yeah.
and we don't. I mean, they could have staff challenges there because we. Well, actually, if this is in October, no, there wouldn't be a new set.
I mean, hey,
Maybe.
if Spark of
Yeah,
Hope comes out
yeah.
in
All right,
June,
no, there would be a new set on the docket for even at the latest like November.
yeah, they could rush
Yeah.
over some early stuff
Yeah,
like
so,
they did
I
for
mean,
Nova.
That could be easily a thing there. Let's go through like some of the logistics though. First things first, we already gave you the dates. Tickets live on 1
June-
month from the stream, so June 28th. So keep
Yeah.
that, mark that in your calendars, put in a little alert. They go on sale around noon central, so that's
Yeah.
that's a little bit TBD.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
said it'll be US and Europe friendly, which is,
Price
a
for the
good thing.
tickets is $50, which is actually
I can't believe
kind
that.
it's kind of funny.
That's
you know,
amazing.
They're
and
renting
I
out
think-
somewhere now, and it's cheaper.
Yeah, I think we should talk about this at the end after we get through all the logistics because that's a very interesting facet and might need to be delved into a little bit more. Like I mentioned, Destiny, they have a 1A and 1B day, Friday and Saturday, and then the finals are on Sunday. One of the interesting things is that everybody that's participating in 1A or 1B, any of the ones, you have to submit your deck list before the 1A event. So 1B doesn't get a look at the meta and get to make choices there. You got to submit your deck list before any of the events are run, which I think is the perfect way to get that done.
Yep.
They're going to do side events. They haven't really said what those side events are. Wednesday and Thursday, there's going to be a prize wall. So obviously there's going to be some sort of...
I think there's side events every day,
Yeah.
but I think that
yeah,
was just clarification just for, like, if you get there early, you will have
You're right.
something to play for.
Yeah. And then there's a prize wall, which is cool. There's always like...
I love the
There
prize.
could be
wall.
unique stuff. There could just be spot glosses. That'd be fine. Nobody's going to complain about that.
I love
Uh,
the mess they had out of the GQs. Bless them.
Yep.
Well, last year was, like,
Fart. Was that a fart? Did you sharp?
oh, I sneezed, but I stopped on the end of the recording, so now people will hear nothing, and then just hear Scott asks if somebody farted. So
No,
was
we all
definitely-
heard it.
well, it wasn't recorded on the.
Can you edit a sneeze in there? So like the most obnoxious cartoon sneeze.
I think I'll
And
pass on that.
Scott asked, and then Scott asked, "Is that a fart?"
It kind of sounded like he pooped himself.
This is why people tune into this podcast.
Yep.
So moving on.
The prize wall
We're
last
just-
year was just
Yeah.
in terms of like spot goal stuff. It was just Hondo. Then they had the Kanan as well that you could get, and then the full art five wide battle droid set thing. So it'd be interesting to see if they.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if they do anything unique to Worlds, then automatically it's great because, A, if you're the type of person that likes collecting all those things, cool, new stuff. B, if you're the type of person that just wants to sell things, it's unique to Worlds, so it's going to carry like a pretty decent price tag.
yeah.
I would just temper, like, unless they announce them partnering with Cascade as like not GQs but like Cascade's running the side events. I would assume that there would be very limited spot gloss stuff, because then they also had a lot of the old stuff too. Like you could get Like I got that full art of Luke 1, and then they also had that of like Vader, the Vader 2 and stuff. So
They
all their
always like open the closet. That's always been
Yeah.
the case. Literally, the one Worlds Tommy and I went to, we did like the team tournament as a side event, and they were literally like, "Oh, we don't really have like specific prizes for you guys, so we're just gonna give you these. What the hell? We're just gonna give you these Force coins." And we're like, "Okay, that's fine." Tommy and I think got like 3 each through the course of like the different events. Those things sold for $120 each. So we were like, "Yes, please give us
We'll
all
take
of the
more.
coins that you have. We'll
Even
take
the,
more if you really need."
There's some shield tokens from last year that still are going for like $50, which, as far as shield tokens go, like everyone said, we all have an overabundance of them. They're still selling that high.
yeah, the Droidica ones. Those are still
Yeah,
like my
yeah.
favorite shield ones, man. I just
They
love
are awesome.
I love the obnoxiously large tokens. So
Oh, I
they're
love the
perfect.
power action tokens that are just honking large.
Yeah.
I still use them.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
so-
main event's going to be standard.
Yep.
Side events, they're going to do trilogy and infinite, so everything's represented. Crazy thing, 600 seats total. That's 300 per day. So
That's
I
amazing.
mean,
I think we were at
that's-
just over 300 last year. For like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna fill that 600, but like, it
I-
makes me confident in like that I'll get a ticket because I'm
Yeah, I
a
don't
scrub.
think-
So
I don't
I'm happy
necessarily
for that.
know if we'll fill that 600, but I know that if it were less than that per day, they probably might run into a situation where like one of the days does fill up, and you have
yeah,
people like
yeah.
would want to get in but don't. Quote unquote amazing prizes. Honestly, that's
That's just
at the
PR.
end.
What are
I'll
they
believe
gonna
it
say? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it because
We're gonna offer a line of very okay prizes at the World
Uh,
Championship.
Full art boss.
FFG, if you're listening to this podcast, and I pray you aren't, you make the promos in house. So how about you just like put a poll out there of like what cards people would like to see as promos, as opposed to picking cards that people will never play.
I will say that the last 2 things that they've released prizes for, like I love the Vader ones at regional, and I am a fan of this Nova one.
Yeah,
I like it. I get that's probably like a style thing. I do think like Dagger Mortis looks dumb, but overall, I like the prizes.
I'm more saying along the lines of they have to not pick cards that are bad.
Agreed. And I'm just saying that they're picking good. Like these last 2 that they've done,
Yeah.
have been good. So I'm hopeful. And Worlds was pretty good. Kanan was a dud, but
Canon's not the worst thing, but yeah, there's just
Yeah.
it's always like a consistent issue with FFG where clearly like people charging OP prizes don't talk to anyone that actually plays the game.
yeah. Yes.
And then the top cut for the Sunday is going to be based on the number of people in attendance, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And
And
you expect they're not going to be like, all right, we're gonna have a top 60. We're gonna have a, I mean, I don't even know how big it would be for 30 people. Yeah, we're gonna have a top 64, and then you only have like 100 people one day and 200 another. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of people for that small of an event.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember reading this or somebody saying this, but it was gonna be like top 16 for every like 120 or like 100 people. So if
Yeah,
it gets to
that's-
like above that, they'll add another top
Yeah.
16, etc.
That's completely. I think that's completely fair. I mean, it's good that they recognize that you do need to scale it based on attendance.
Yeah, and you do have to assume that the days will be pretty even, simply because like last year I remember it was you picked a preferred day and they kind of like assigned you, and then you could like switch and stuff. With people who got separate days and things like that. Like if you know you only can do Saturday, there's gonna be somewhere in the world of somebody who wants to swap with you if you have Friday.
Well, that's also there's more seats available this year, so that you just might not run into that anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's just more so for balance. Like it would be crazy if there's 50 people on Friday and like 300 people on Saturday type thing. Like I don't think it'll get that to that point because I think FFG will split that.
Hopefully, they have a mechanism to prevent that.
Yeah.
And then moving along, they don't know if it's going to be a lottery or open registration for Destiny registration. Lottery is better than open registration, to be perfectly honest, because people get people get salty with the lottery, but people get really, really salty when your website crashes. And it will inevitably crash.
Yeah.
And then the deadline for claiming seats that are, I mean, I don't even know what events have given seats at this point since it's an elongated season.
Oh,
Like we're talking.
yeah. It's been a bunch though. Like I think they even opened up that form. I saw people already filling out today But what's
Yep.
weird is that the article I think said September 1st, but I asked that question. FFG posted like a status or whatever that they would like to answer any more questions you have about Destiny and X-Wing. And since I saw that it said September 1st, I asked about like Nova, since that finishes like that day or whatever it is. You know, is there going to be an issue there? Are they qualifying for 2019? But Matt Holland said September 30th is the deadline.
Okay.
Um,
September 30th. So
and
September. Let's just call it September.
yeah. So you have all of September to do that. But and then Matt Holland, the guy that's kind of running the show for FFG, it seems like for the organized play, he says you can organize them.
I didn't say anything because I wasn't on last week, but he's been doing a great job. That's all I'll say.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, he said email them if you qualify post deadline through, say, there's a Prime October, 7th or whatever, and you win that. Contact them, and you might be able to get squeezed in. So, World seems. I'm really happy with a lot of the stuff that they've been doing. I think this overall, and I think this wasn't just me. There was this excitement across the Destiny community after this stream. There's a lot of good information, like the expanding up to 600 seats, the side events, the lock in your decks before everybody locks them in at the same time, so there's not unfair advantage to the second wave of people. Yeah, I mean, all of this just seems really, really good. I was shocked though that it's at the River Center. Shocked.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, with the $50, I don't know. To me, it almost this might be the biggest signal to me that there is a shift in the way FFG is viewing organized play. Because what was World's fee last year?
$80.
$80, and that had gone, and it was $60 the last time I went, which was before Destiny launched. So it's been higher than $50 for the entirety of the time that they've been having Worlds at the FFG Event Center. That's an event center that they own. They don't spend any money to rent out that space. They spend money to rent out the Radisson.
Yeah.
But I have to believe that, and especially for November, which was when Worlds used to be, November rentals of a Minnesota Radisson in the middle of not really anywhere, I refuse to believe that that's very expensive.
Yeah, it can't be.
It just can't be. So they had they had little expense as far as like renting space, and they made a ton of money on concessions.
Yeah.
Because they sell actual good food and they sell beer and wine on site. So they're making a ton of money off concessions. They're making a ton of money off tickets. And now they're renting an entire separate space that they need to bring everything to. It's not as if like it's their own space where all of the employees are already within driving distance there, where all of their stuff is already there or across the street in the warehouse. They have to spend money to bring everything, to set everything up. They have to spend money for the space, and tickets are less.
Yeah.
Which to me may signal that they're finally viewing organized play the way that other companies with more successful organized play programs view organized play as a promotional, not a way to make money.
And they could have also
make
cut
money off of just selling things.
Yeah, and they could have
Just
cut the
selling the
pricing, or not pricing. That like last year, $80 you got sleeves, a T-shirt, the Palpatine promo. So it'll be interesting to see if they still keep that up or they just cut that and just made it like a simple entry fee.
Is that even remotely worth $30?
But no, I mean I'm fine if they do. I'm just saying that's what they could have charged the extra. Like when you were paying $60, were you getting swag of that sort?
We got a T-shirt and one of like each promo.
Yeah, so it could be, but
Again, they're in-house printed promos. They're gilded and screen printed T-shirts. It's just crazy that this is going to be cheaper and it's not on site.
yeah,
Because honestly, like the Radisson is not super nice, and then the other hotel option literally has like bed bugs. So accommodations, being able to be in St. Paul, which is one of the Twin Cities, as opposed to 40 minutes outside of Minnesota, is great.
come on, dude. What is it like? 2005? Airbnb's a thing, man.
Do you want to Airbnb in
I did.
Roseville, Minnesota? You did?
I did, and it was great. asked.
Where were you at?
We were like right down the street.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. And we also spent like a quarter of what people probably paid at the hotel. It was great.
Are we gonna be within walking distance, by the way?
Oh yeah, we're right across the street.
Amazing.
Dude, did you read my messages?
Yeah.
Why do you ignore everything
no.
I say?
He
Because
doesn't like you.
because, I don't know reasons.
You should have gotten an email from Airbnb too. I added you guys to the itinerary.
saw.
The itinerary?
It says you can make one.
I got 2 notifications and I just kind of I was like, oh, I know what that's gonna be.
Yeah.
I
Well,
haven't heard anything else.
Airbnb lets you do that. It's like, oh, if you're staying with all these people, include them on this list and add things to your itinerary so you know what to do when you go. But we obviously, our itineraries, Airbnb is great. Anyways, any other thoughts on?
It gets me hype. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I cut you off.
No.
I'm just really looking forward, like talking about this. Like, there's been nothing, like there's been no, and I'm not gonna say there's no reason to play Destiny because like it's fun.
No competitive
But
reason.
There's no competitive reason to play Destiny. So I've kind of been like, like, what's the point? It doesn't matter. You know, you've been in Ireland, you know, doing fun, great things, and I don't know. I forgot Destiny was kind of around. But like talking about this and like remembering why like I like the competitive side, even though I'm not particularly amazing. I really enjoy going to these things and seeing people that play the game and interacting with the community. Like it's just you know, something to look forward to. I'm still looking forward to like Nova before this. So having 2 and then Primes, which is a good segue, I guess, into the next part. But Primes, I'm interested to see how they go as well.
Yeah. So Primes are the new regional. They're rebranded. They're going to be more open. They're going to be more around. Stores can easily apply for them as compared to the rigorous application that we've seen before. And with that, that kind of means they said...
Did you air quote rigorous?
Yes.
Really didn't check any of the information that you gave in.
New York City was a great host, all right? The TO, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Would recommend not going. But yeah, so they said that Primes are going to be coming soon. So we'll expect them and to conclude before Worlds as well. Because one of the reasons they said was to get invitations out before that. So
that was something...
Jack?
Did I? I did not.
Dude, we got to get in there before it gets too late. You know,
that's one thing. There hasn't been registration information.
Yeah, they haven't put anything out yet.
Yeah,
but you're like best friends with FFG. Just
they said Primes are coming soon, but they haven't.
Yeah.
Had registration for them, so they've said Primes are going to be more open, but with World Invites being on the line, they can't be like store championship level open.
Yeah, that's the balance that they have to find.
They can't be every store that signs up for one gets one, because then we're going to be into the issue that we've had with store championships before and then regionals before, where stores deliberately hide that they have events or deliberately try to keep people from coming because they want their local players to get the invites.
Yeah. I don't know the best way to combat that other than like keeping a more rigorous application, but like they're obviously trying to let go of everything so then they don't have any blame. And it just makes it, if they're handing it out, how are regionals, how do they not just become store champs?
Yeah. I mean, I really hope it's slightly more than that, because we've already seen it with store championships. You have places that don't advertise their event, deliberately tell people that message them not to come if they don't play at the store, any number of things, and it would only be worse if it was for a Worlds invite as opposed to a buy at a regional.
Yeah, and I understand like where they're coming from. I mean, in the Northeast, you probably don't think about this because we had 5 regionals that we literally could have attended easily if you cleared 5 weekends. Like, you know, that's obviously a lot to go to, but it was very possible.
You couldn't clear enough weekends to go to them.
Yeah, and then you have places like Florida and Texas who are getting like nothing.
Yeah, well, the Florida thing just made no sense. Like, they have a player base, and then they chose a store that is at the north end of the state,
which had to move back to the regional.
South end of the state. My apologies. In Miami, where it just required everybody to drive like 5 hours to, because Florida's gigantic, going north to south.
Yeah, and they had to change it because of the Magic pre-release. Whatever weekend they originally had scheduled, they're like, oh, oops, we can't do that.
So So I definitely get it, and there needs to be some areas that are serviced much better, but just being like open registration is not good either.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. And with that, that means store champs are being delayed. They won't be this summer. It looks like they'll be winter, which I think will be a perfect like time frame for them. You know,
Yeah, it's better. I mean,
That's cool though, because you're not gonna have a drought of events. I'm cool with that because this has been a long drought. I feel like anyway.
yeah, and they said 2019 was going to be a transition year, so I am giving them a pass, but
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm sure they've said this plenty of times before, so we'll see how 2020 goes.
yeah, for me, they're still on the like extremely short leash.
Yeah,
Like they don't get credit for everything they've got planned for a year until they actually execute what they had planned for a year, and it turns out good.
yeah. So yeah, you think that like it'll be store champs will be early in the year, kind of with the 4 sets. You would think the 5th set would coming out, that would start prime season, and then when the 6th set in the rotation comes out, that would be like when Nova Gen Con Worlds type thing is. But
I don't think they have their event season tied to their set releases because they have to understand that they can't control their set releases.
yeah, I was just saying that could be an ideal thing for them. I don't like OP is so like not in the same world as the production team, and that's not like OP's fault. That's just
No,
the
that's
overall
just the
company.
reality. OP should not consider.
Yeah,
Should really just not even like. Yeah, we don't care how many sets are going to be out. This is when we're running things because this is a schedule that makes sense for the flow of events.
which can stink in a sense. Like if you look at Gen Con Nova Worlds, that could all be Spark of Hope, and then the 6th set comes out and in November. I think it just could possibly stink if all 3 major events are all the same meta.
No, I don't necessarily disagree there, but like I don't see a way how you can plan your events around it because
No, yeah,
many of these events are tied to conventions that FFG isn't running. So
Yep.
they don't have. I mean, what are you going to do? Not put a giant event at Gen Con?
yeah. There's no way that gets touched.
When's
It'll be
Gen Con
interesting.
again?
It's the first week of August
No,
ish.
I'm going to, but I forget when it is.
It's usually like that first week of August, last weekend or week of
So
a few days of July.
Gen Con and Nova are in the same like.
Yeah, they're a month
Yeah,
apart.
same month. I mean, sometimes they're like a week apart. Gen Con has varied from like the first week all the way to like ending on like the 18th
Yeah.
one year. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a whirlwind of August.
Yep.
That's nuts. That's a lot.
And
And,
then-
then primes might still be going on by that point, right?
I would assume so. My guess would be they'll probably do like July, August, September for primes.
I mean, yeah,
If they're trying to fit them in before Worlds, there's no way they're coming out in June at this point. Like July would be the
I
earliest.
don't think so. June's like tomorrow.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna pay for all this.
I don't know,
Why are you
dude.
paying for anything?
It's a good point.
um,
My wallet is crying as we speak.
all right, so we'll move on to the other tidbits that they've kind of dropped, and that is Spark of Hope. They're going to stream that next week on June 4th, Tuesday, their normal stream schedule. That'll be the thing. So if you're interested in that, that is definitely something to check out. And we did get a little bit of a spoiler today.
We got a spoiler of a spoiler.
Yep, they're back at it
That's all
again.
it is.
I will give credit where it's due in that they switched out R2D2 with C3PO on that last fan, but I still think it's just like, I don't know, dumb play to half reveal something. They're clearly making these fans because they switched C3PO and R2D2. It wasn't given to them by FFG, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's IG-88. The title, single-minded. He's a character and that's all you can see. He has a power action, something, bounty, melee character. That's all you can really see. He's got a 2 range, 3 for 1, 2 disrupt, 1 resource, blank, and he's 14-17, and it looks like either 10 or 12 health. And then there was a 0 cost support, Bounty
I
Hunters
think it was
Guild.
like 10 or 12. I think it could be 13.
It could
I
be.
thought the same.
10,
It
12,
kinda
13.
looks Like... You think he's legendary?
Probably.
I think so too.
Second IG legendary. But yeah, I mean, it seems cool. Big dice sides, 2 disrupts, interesting.
Let's be relatively optimistic for FFG. there's no way they make a 17-point character that doesn't have like a Palpatine ability and give them 10 health.
Well, probably not.
But it's based
mean-
around bounty, so
I mean, my guess would be 12 or 13. I just said 10 because you can't rule that out.
Does he go up in health based on the number of bounties he has on the table? I swear to God, if that's the case.
No.
that would be amazing.
Oh my God.
It looks
Oh
like
my
the
God.
the only thing on his card that fits is whatever that power action is.
Yeah, you're right.
So
He's got
he doesn't have a
he's got
passive.
text. He's got flavor text. So he doesn't have
Yeah.
a passive. All right, so it's probably 12 or 13. I don't know. His dice looks pretty decent.
Maybe it's like for every bounty you drop
Pretty
to a melee
pretty.
damage.
He's
or
pretty
something.
good on the. He's pretty good on the rollout.
Yeah.
He's
Certainly.
got that two. He's got a 2 disrupt, which, in my mind, is you have to get to 2 or more for your disrupt to be really relevant. Like 1 just doesn't do enough.
Yeah, just the question then becomes like, does my 17-point character, do I want to use that to disrupt?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean
if you're-
sometimes you might have to, obviously, but
if you're taking your opponent's like if you're taking 2, that's the resources for the turn. That's not bad.
yeah, you're stopping like their entourage engine of dropping 7 costs worth of things.
Yeah.
Who do you pair him with?
Turn 1. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like an awkward.
The annoying thing is if you run him with Grievous, he only goes down to 60, and you're hanging like 2 points. So I guess you run like Grand Design or something.
Yeah, do a plot or
That's
something.
that's not bad.
There you go, Scott.
What's
You could do
You could
like
run-
maybe Val or Phasma.
Isn't
Or,
Phasma
like,
14?
old Phasma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She got bumped a point.
Oh yeah, you're right.
What's he, 17? All right, 10, 13. Let's look at it. All right, Anakin. Yeah, Anakin Skywalker from the
mhm.
Talzin.
Rivals.
You always roll with Talzin. That's easy enough.
Yeah. Arinda Price, Jabba the Hutt, Lobot, Wolfie Lauren. Those are the 10, 13. And then you got Watto, Watt, Sly Moore, Sebulba,
Yeah, who's
Talzin,
those?
Grievous, Firmus, Bib, Mauler, Newt Luce, Greedo. Those are all the elite characters.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then so I'm hopeful that overall what I'm taking away from this is that they are pushing bounties again. So maybe they won't be
A one and
a
done.
garbage
There won't be
thing.
mods where they get like
Oh, don't talk crap about my shock collar stuff.
one set.
But at
Shot
least
callers isn't a bounty.
at least mods though are
Oh, yeah,
relevant.
Don Greens.
No, mods were the great one and done. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
did one set of mods and still
Yeah.
pretty relevant.
Mods
Um,
or bounties and downgrades in general just still need some help. Bounties especially because it's a whole archetype built around it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they see that.
This Bounty Hunters Guild, it is amazing, fantastic art. But it's
We didn't even get to read it. Yeah, it's a support, 0 cost. Each of your opponent's characters has a +1 downgrade limit. After you play a bounty, you may activate one of your bounty hunters. It's an uncommon.
like
Yeah. IG's obviously.
I don't. You gotta give me some really good bounties because
There's got to be
Not
one with,
really.
I don't know, like something with ambush maybe? I don't know. Like,
Save
save
the Bosk again, reprinted.
yeah. That-
probably honestly, yeah. If they're doing this whole bounty thing, we'll probably get like all of the bounty hunters possible.
I like
Yeah.
Bosk. I just wish she was better.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
I
hope
like
he's
the
got a
other
reprint.
characters, like the characters that I'm like, wow, that's a really cool character in like Clone Wars or anything else, and it's always like, so good.
And there was a downgrade spoiled in the middle that we can't fully see, so thanks
Play
for
only-
that.
It's probably play only if you control a bounty hunter. After attached character dies, you may gain. After attached
Yeah.
character.
Maybe a
After
shield and a
attached
resource.
blank, after
So
attached
it's
something you
got
gain.
It's got 2 things.
Probably a shield and a resource. But like, is that?
Honestly, I think it because I'm looking at it and I think it's Dead or Alive might be the title.
Maybe an additional action.
So I think maybe it's like after attached character activates, you may gain blah, and then after attached character is defeated, you may gain blah. Because like Dead or Alive, you're getting a benefit.
Makes sense.
Hear me out.
Pay the big bucks.
Hear me out. What if they just like spoiled it? I know that's crazy.
rad. Yeah, we don't like your free thinking attitude around here, Jack.
Yeah, let's let's move on from the spoilers of spoilers.
Calm down.
Let's move away from the fan where we can read a few words on some of them.
All right, so this is other big news coming from the FFG stream, even though it was primarily regarding Worlds. They've let us know that a Balance the Force update is coming soon, possibly within the next week. Dun dun dun.
Praise the Lord. I got fingers crossed that Snoke gets hit and No Answer gets hit. Those are my top two.
So those what? Let's
I-
not even go top two. What do you think needs to get touched? What do you think
think
is
the
going to
Holy
get touched,
Trinity
and
is
what do
gonna
you
get
think
touched?
needs to get touched?
Brian, what were you gonna say?
I said, do you think the Holy Trinity gets touched?
I think it wouldn't surprise me if they wait. Like, I would be surprised if we got a rules reference where, like, 3 to 4 of these supports plus any Balance of the Force changes come into play. And it wouldn't surprise me if they just, like, nerf Snoke into Oblivion, so he's just legitimately, like, unplayable. Like, he's 18 points or something like that, to where you can't pair him in a 3-wide type thing. It wouldn't surprise me if they wait and see. Right? The biggest culprit of these decks right now in our meta is Snoke 3-wide with Watto, because you can't remove his dice. And so, like, every turn they're guaranteeing that they're getting to like 5 resources, and then they're dropping these things. So maybe Jeremy's hope is that if we hit Snoke, and maybe you could even hit Watto too.
Don't talk about my boy like
as
that. Don't you talk about Watto like that.
he's only relevant in this deck. Sorry, Brian. You know,
I
just
don't
kind of
believe that.
see
No,
if that
he's
happens.
He's probably relevant other places, but there's
He's
no
relevant
reason
without.
to go the other places because the other
The other
places
ones are so
just
good.
do the same thing as this deck.
Yeah.
He's
but
not relevant
worse.
with Palp when Watt exists.
No, I don't think he's relevant.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Probably another 3-wide or something. That, like, it's got to be support 3-wide where Watto's doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away Snoke, then there's other 3-wide yellow, red, blue things where he could fit in and do the same thing he does, but just without Snoke.
Yeah, what's it? There's that other, like, I've never played against it. I forget what people even call it, but it's like Talzin, Watt, Watto. You know what I mean? It's like those 3 instead of Snoke type thing. So it's interesting.
That kind of bleeds into Snoke is if we were like pulling odds on this, if we were Vegas and we were doing odds about like what's going to get hit, I think Snoke would be like bet $100 to win $1. Like he's obviously
Yeah.
He has
think
to. It would be absurd if he doesn't. Absolutely absurd.
it would be and it just Snoke is a poorly designed card from the standpoint of you can't bounce him. He
I
just
think that
does too much unless you want to like start balancing his dice.
I think if they
Or if you
nerf
want to
the
change his
lat,
ability.
right? If they nerf the lat before it even got started because of the looping, I think that Force Storm's got to get hit too.
That's fair.
Like, I don't know if it will, but I feel like it should. Like, if you've watched our streams, you've seen like the annihilation that can happen from just focusing into that, rolling it back in, focusing into that, or even Natty rolling it into that. Like, it's just, I don't, it's just annoying. I don't know if it's, well, it's probably a little broken. But
It's not broken in a sense, like, and this is what has frustrated me. I think sometimes when this originally like popped up and was big, we weren't trying to say. I think the people like myself who are advocating that this needs to not be a thing weren't trying to say that this is the best deck ever, but a deck that could win just turn 1 by doing this without like any interaction of your opponent, like they get probed and that's it. Like that shouldn't exist within the game.
They can't mitigate that well.
Yeah, it just shouldn't exist in that form, and I think something should be limited. I don't think you stop the reroll, but whether it's like a power, like they change the text to say power action, place a resource on this.
Limit the number of resources.
Yeah, something cap it at 3 or something, whatever it might be. I don't know, but
The reality is with Force Storm, if I went to Jeremy and said, "Hey, do you want to have a card that can end the game round 1?" He'd be like, "All right, well." Is it like Black 1 where you have to like roll it in 30 times? Oh no, you only need to do it like 5 times. And you'd be like, no, I don't want that to exist.
Yeah.
Well, he made it. So it's just one of those things. Like I think if you just were to look at the card and say like, is this something that we would want to exist? You would be like, no.
right, I hate that they I mean, legendaries are supposed to be good. Like, don't get me wrong, that's why they're legendaries. But like, when they're this good and then you nerf them, they cease to be legendaries. Like, that's 2 legendaries in a set that would be, I don't think Force Storm would be unusable. I just think you'd see it a lot less.
It might not be usable now just because you don't have the.
It's just
Curve
way behind the curve.
abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now,
but
if you
it's
play
just
it round 2 or
play.
3 now, it's kind of garbage.
Right. There's stuff you can play that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we think Snoke's getting hit, whether it's a point increase, whether it's just a straight all right, off ban him,
They'll never do that. So
or they could pseudo do it.
yeah, I mean, they
17
certainly
points
could.
now.
Yeah, they certainly could.
Or if it's as people have suggested, taking his power action to only hit damage sides as opposed to resources or discard.
That still makes it viable though. Like
that was. I mean, people have even said do that and then get rid of his point increase, which is kind of interesting because back when Snoke first took his original nerf, his best deck was Snoke Afra Battle Droid. And in that deck, if you talk to anybody that had any competitive success with it, whether it was like Quanka or Cody and Drew over at ABG, they were Snoking for damage. That was their line of play. They were not Snoking for resources. They were not Snoking for discard. They were pushing damage with that deck. So doing that to Snoke still would leave him with some avenues of play, but it wouldn't have been an appropriate nerf at that point in the game because you wouldn't have actually touched the deck that you were trying to touch.
Yeah, I feel like a point increase is appropriate. I think that
Then you just run Watto and a battle droid. It doesn't. If you just point increase him and don't, if you only do it by one, it either has to be a bunch or
I think it has to be 2 or more. Well, I mean, I don't think more.
Even then, do Watto and a Claudite. Well, no, that's still. But then, you could do something where it would be, let's say Watto with Greedo and allies and necessity. Well, they're all 6 points. The battle droid, Claudite, and a Jawa. But I'm saying then you do some of these negative battlefields in which he can still thrive in. I mean, even Thrawn Snoke with Bitter Rivalry was still around.
Yeah.
These 3-wides can take the hit on Bitter Rivalry. Snoke could potentially get around the allies of necessity -2 plot type thing. So I don't know. He just really has to get bumped all the way up to 17 if you're tired of these Snoke 3-wides. He's got to be 17 or 18 and. Or you change the damage, like Scott was saying, and something that's kind of floated around.
I want to make my spot loss of Snoke unusable and super incorrect.
Yeah.
What's the point of getting him if they're gonna mess him so much? Come on now.
Yeah, it's the type of thing if they only increase him 1, I don't have any faith that next set they don't have an 8-point that they're not giving a villain version of Baby Anakin.
Yeah.
A 7-point character with 3 resource sides.
And then that limits their building process on that side too.
They clearly don't know. They clearly missed the boat on how strong ramping resources is because they increased Snoke's points, nerfed Theed, and then had Watto coming out.
Yeah.
So if they just up his point
time,
once,
ban him. I think that they've had their chance. If they can't get it right the next time, he shouldn't be around. Because it just shows that no fix you have is gonna fix him. You can't fix a problem like Snoke. He's just too good.
And I even think originally
you might be able to fix him. You might be able to fix him, but what you're saying,
you're running out of time. You know what I mean? The time has long passed. He came out last summer?
Two sets.
Yeah, July last year. July last year.
I don't know what. Yeah. So it's just he's been out for almost a year and he's still busted.
Yeah. It ultimately, if he doesn't get all the way up to 17, 18, you're looking at 15 and you're looking at you're still looking at 3-wide.
Yeah. Or even a really solid 2-wide if that's the route you want to go.
Yeah.
He's such a solid character, he fits anywhere.
But yes.
Beyond Snoke.
Yep.
Beyond Force Storm. What else?
No answers. Punt it right out the window. I would ban that before I banned anything else.
Yeah,
That
card
is the dumbest, most absurd card. Like that's above the curve, printed at such a low cost to me.
It's
I don't
always
know.
mill. It's always mill.
Not like I've been fine with everything else. I've never been somebody that's hated mill or thought it was broken or anything. But just like no answers. Like the second this was spoiled, I was just like imagine if they printed pay 1 to do a damage to a character. If that wasn't blocked by shields, deal 3 more. That'd be in every single deck, and that's literally what no answers is for this.
They would never print
Exactly.
the reciprocal damage card, so you would never print it as mill, which leads me to believe that they thought mill was. I mean, the only reason you print this card is if you don't think that they're at the point you're designing it, you're at the conclusion like, all right, no mill deck is viable. Like we haven't been able to come up with a viable mill deck, but there was.
When Leia exists and it's in her color, there's bound to be something that could do it. And then you just add in a great character like Yoda. Like, I don't know. No answer just still blows my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. It's just they would have never printed the damage version, so you don't print the mill version. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right, so beyond Snoke, we know definitely that's something going to occur, whether it's enough, whether it's too much, what it is, separate thing. Got the Force Storm for the negative play experience. Maybe you shouldn't have games being, 1 on turn 1. You got the no answer because you shouldn't print that card. What else?
I feel like that's all the necessities. Nothing like immediately jumps out to me that's like that should get hit.
I originally have the stance, I think, like of Brian too, and what I said, like where if Snoke's getting hit, why don't you wait and see how bad this unholy trinity of supports actually comes? But having played like even just Watt Beckett against you, Scott, I think 2 out of 3 games I started with double entourage and a hired muscle turn 1. Like, and that was without me like thinking hard.
I went out of my way to mitigate your resource dice.
Yeah. It is just like crazy absurd, and like entourage to me out of the 3 of those seems like it could be the most problematic, and I think that has to do with the card draw and the 2 resource side on it. So it's like, do you take away the card draw?
+3.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised.
The card draw would balance that really well. I mean, I played it against Banana the other day, and he like the whole game he was just like groaning about it. Like I felt bad because like at one point the special on Entourage got up to 9 damage. That's absurd. That's absurd. Imagine if a card, a dice card had 9 damage printed on it. Like everything the stars have to align just like anything else, but like that's so much.
Was Banana sleeping? How'd you get?
You're searching out 3
No,
of
but
them.
like you said, exactly.
Yeah.
You start out with hired muscle, entourage, another entourage, and I'm using double that on that deck. So like
You're grabbing 3, yeah.
I have 3 hired muscles, so I can just keep searching and searching and digging and digging and digging. And then on top of that, I was doing Beckett Watto, so that's 2 scoundrels right there. Like the ways you can make it kind of busted are to me endless. Like you can have the stars align and it just be a blowout,
I mean, it almost seems like right now, if you want to be competitive, you're running like Snoke, Watto, Faust. And then now it's like, all right, I want to make a semi-casual deck. Let me pick a scoundrel character that's good and jam 2 entourage, 2 hired muscle, 2 fickle, and just kind of, see what happens. I do think the card draw is like the biggest issue with entourage, because then it just if you card draw with it, you can easily play entourage, and then a hired muscle or a fickle. Like that's 100% so easy.
If you play 1, you're playing 2, you're probably playing a 3rd thing. As we saw in our games, you accessed 8 or so resources and dealt 7 damage.
Yeah.
Turn 1.
Yeah. There's I was running Beckett Watt. I don't know if I said that, but
if you want your games going 4 rounds,
it's not how that happens.
That you can't let that hit the board on turn 1.
Yeah.
So, and you can't let it hit the board off of just having drawn 1 entourage. It's not like you had a god hand. You just drew 1 card.
Yeah, and that's literally all you need. I don't need to draw logistics to do that. I can have Watt, who has 2 resource sides, and I have Beckett, who has the special to steal 1 and his power action. So I'm getting resources to play whatever the heck I want. So
on top of like salt flats for the consistency of pulling into what you need.
You're just wadding in the entourage and focusing it to its 2 resources.
Yep, and with Watt, you're getting that extra rollout, which it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, entourage is definitely the one that people have been like, all right, again, like the no answer thing, like why does it search itself out? Why
Yeah.
why is it not unique?
Yeah.
Because it's an entourage, Scott.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just call it single scoundrel.
Yeah, but I'm saying like it's an entourage. You only have one entourage.
It's an entourage, and then you pull another entourage into more hired muscles, and then fickle mercenaries.
But
That makes
aren't
sense.
all of those all of those fickle and hired muscles all part of one entourage? So shouldn't? Yeah, I see what you're saying, Scott.
Hire more?
No, you hire more, but then wouldn't it
Hire
just be
more,
one
it's what a
giant
scoundrel
entourage?
Right, so
you form it together like the Zoids.
yeah, it's
Entourage.
Perfect.
Mega entourage. You know what I mean?
all right. So Snoke, Force Storm, no answer. Entourage, particularly its searchability.
I think entourage is down the road.
You think entourage? Okay. What?
I don't think
what-
it's.
I think
don't-
that could get hit, and I'd be fine. I wouldn't.
Are you,
yeah. I mean, I think I understand if it got hit, but I don't think it will.
is that as far as you want it to go?
For just the
For
card
just
draw
this,
mechanic?
no,
Or
I'm saying for just this balance of the Force.
Oh, I think that's fine, honestly.
Jack.
In terms of adding things or changing, or yeah, in terms of adding things, yes, I have another thought on balance of the
Okay, yeah,
force.
we'll get to that later. I'm looking down the list.
Yes.
So my thought is there. I agree, Snoke, he has to get hit. I agree, no answer has to get hit because it shouldn't have been made. I believe Force Storm should get hit because I don't think that should exist. And I do agree that Entourage shouldn't be able to do what it's easily capable of doing. My main worry is if you hit Snoke, Villain still has a lot of very viable things, that can ramp very successfully. And they're still, and even if you hit Entourage, they are still armed with Mega Blasters and Vader's Fist, and you've hit the one strong support option that Hero had in Entourage because it's neutral.
That's true. Yeah.
And now you've hit the one viable Hero deck in Mill. Now that's not to say like there aren't other Mill options to it, and
You can still run
not
Blazers,
even
it'll be
like
fine.
Red Mill is still won't like Yoda Light Mill could still be completely viable, but it is obviously much worse without no answer, especially not no answer with the resistance ring.
Yeah.
So in that exchange, you've probably actually nerfed Hero more than you've nerfed Villain.
I mean, yes, but it's like, I mean, I that's a blanket statement overall. But if you just take into account that literally the only hero deck is Mill, like, I don't think I keep no answers around just to give Hero something playable when it is Mill.
I'm not
But
saying that you keep no answer around to give Hero something playable, because that's if that's what you're giving Hero playable. It's such a minute area of their cards. But what I'm saying is that assortment of changes makes Hero even less playable because you still have really now our Villain's ramp is maybe on par with Hero, but Hero can't drop anything near as threatening, and then Hero still can't mitigate.
So I'm gonna add on to this list, and I'm gonna say on the balance of the Force, we should just drop all hero characters by 2 points.
yeah, sure, that's a great plan.
That's how we make things balanced and fair.
Yep, that would certainly have the effect of having more hero stuff played. But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of the Unholy Trinity, the Mega Blasters, and the Vader's Fist. We know that they end games too early. We know that they're accessible in other decks that aren't Snoke, whether it's a Watto Talzin deck, whether it's Phasma with Sentinel that plays and accesses Mega Blasters and Vader's Fist. You're not really slowing Villain down all that much, and Hero's still in the same situation of we don't have the big guns and we don't have the zero cost mitigation to be selling out, playing upgrades, playing supports, and still mitigating opponents' dice. And if you watch, like, if you're a Patreon to like Artificery, if you're Patreon to Hyperloops, ABG, if you watch their games, you see it play out a lot where it's like, oh, the Villain deck plays something gigantic, which is a giant threat, and then still mitigates 2 dice. And Hero can't match that, even with these changes.
Yeah, I feel like this
I
meta's been
think-
like, why am I? Every time I go to make a deck, I'm like, why do I even bother looking at Hero?
I think you need to hit all 3 of the Unholy Trinity to really give
Level the playing
Hero
field.
a relatively level playing field, because now maybe then you're both looking at, all right, hero can ramp as effectively as villain now. All right, they each have good stuff, but not crazily efficient stuff to play with that ramp. All right, villain has the better 0 cost mitigation, hero has the better 1 cost mitigation. You might have some level of parity there. I don't think you have any level of parity just by getting rid of Snoke and making Entourage worse.
Yeah, I mean, what are the hero only bombs? There's the Falcon. I guess this is a 6 drop.
None.
But that's like not even
None that are comparable.
Not that
Like,
you're not doing anything with that.
In the hero deck you played against me on Tuesday, what was your bomb?
Yeah, fire spray.
So that's
but that could easily be like Shadowcaster. And I do think that if the Snoke ramp decks slow down and they take another turn to get going, like I do feel like a caster deck could be. Like part of me is wondering like if even the like fire spray of the Yoda 3-wide with AR with the Marauder is like the best thing. Or like, you know, if we go back to PAX Unplugged, like it was L3 Engineer was like the big caster deck. Like, is that something that just is now viable again because it has another turn to set up and go off where it didn't have that before because all the other decks were ramping so hard?
I don't think it has another turn against a lot more than just Snoke decks. I think Grievous Wheelbike decks are just as fast. I think Phasma decks are just as fast.
Yeah, that's fair. And
they're just as aggressive. And the main difference is the Shadowcaster deck is not aggressive turn 1. Takes you a second to get it going.
Yeah.
Those decks are still really aggressive turn 1.
And it also hurts that the hero, you know, I guess quote unquote bomb of this set was supposed to be the lat gunship, like a big support that they could drop that could potentially be good, but then of course then they print Kess with a double focus side on top of him being a trooper, and then you just got to rat at that and get that out of the way because that infinite loop, like, you know, they had a chance to get something big, and I mean ultimately they messed up and Red Hero didn't get a legendary this set essentially.
Yeah. So I mean I'm kind of the opinion that if you're worried about the games resolving themselves too quickly, and they are resolving themselves too quickly, like it's a 3-round game right now, and that 3-round game isn't just from Snoke. It's from a lot of things that can access these big giant stuff that can deal, 7 damage on round 1 and then round 2.
Though. Snoke is still the generator. Like, Snoke is still the catalyst. I still see him as the quote unquote big bad.
Yeah, but like Scott said, like these, like Phasma Sentinel Messenger can easily drop a fist, like turn 1, you start at turn 2, and that like Talzin Watto Watt deck could do it, or like the Beckett Watt could easily drop the Entourages and the Mega Blasters and have that to go to town. Like, hitting Snoke certainly hits the top dog of this meta, which is that 3-wide with Watto and the First Order Stormtrooper. But like to Scott's point, like there's still so many decks that can ramp out and drop those fist bombs while still playing 0 cost mitigation, and Hero still has no 0 cost mitigation and no like, oh man, I hope they don't drop that. You'll be like, oh, I hope he didn't draw into the fist, I hope he don't draw on the Mega Blasters and I have another turn to do something. It's like Heroes is like, all right, you're gonna drop this 2 cost support that does generally nothing. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah, you have to be really yeah. You came in that thing. You must be braver than I thought. So playing Heroes like it's just there's no it doesn't feel good.
Scott, what would so I mean we talked about Entourage, but if you're talking about hitting Fist and Mega Blasters, how are you doing that?
Maybe adding a resource cost to the power action on the Fist. Maybe getting rid of its round 1 rollout, because maybe that's where you think the big problem is, because that's what does turn it into like, oh, it might kill a character on round 1, which you kind of don't want to happen. You definitely don't want to happen like from your ramp option, because now you have, not only have you killed a character round 1, but you have something really good for the rest of the game. You haven't sacrificed anything to get that kill.
Yeah, and I think that like the resource side is a perfect. I mean, we should have learned from Mauls. I feel like that free rollout is just too powerful.
Yeah. And then Mega Blaster Troopers, maybe It's adding a resource to getting the second trooper dice.
So roll 1 out when you activate the support. You may spot a leader and spend a resource to roll a second die out. Probably never gets. At that point, you're probably not really going to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even just the 1 is still.
It's tough. It's very
that 2 die
difficult to.
support is crazy still.
No, I mean that.
It's fine.
It's a
They-
lot, it's a lot
2
more
blanks
manageable.
on both dice.
Yeah.
And essentially, that 2 disrupt on the Mega Blaster, you're not going to ever want to resolve that.
But
It's
like
'cause
in terms of still being comparable to Hero, like I don't think that does enough. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like Hero is so far back. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree, but I think that would be palatable, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, I think if you're taking a look and being like, our issue is things are getting too lethal too quickly. The lethality is not confined to Snoke. It's in a lot of things, and it's primarily being sourced through the ability of these big supports to put out so much damage early, and then to keep putting out that much damage in the subsequent turns. It's not like, they just like drop once and then that's all they can do. It's like, nope, next turn you're still getting the same dice. So it's like your aggro decks aren't risking anything because they're also your ramp decks. It's weird.
Right.
I think overall, I would stop of talking the Unholy Trinity. I would take away the draw on the Entourage, and I would do pay a resource to roll the Fist die back in for the power action. And I think I would leave Mega Blasters alone right now. I understand that it's above the curve and it's a good card, but I think I think I'm okay with it right now.
And part of the issue is the critical mass of having 6 really good options.
Yeah.
4 really good options. If you only have 1 really good option, you can deal with it because it's just not going to be as automatic.
Yeah. And Mega Blaster plays into the hero mitigation a little bit better than
it does. It's very easy. It's very easy pickable.
Yeah.
And that would certainly help. So yeah, and it's the only one that hasn't it's the only one that's not absurd in the sense that like you look at Entourage and you're like, well, that's silly, and then Fist is silly. You've seen it already. It's proven itself to be pretty silly. All right, Patreon questions.
Yeah, do we have a question? The other, yeah. All right, we'll get to that later. All right, yeah. So Patreon questions. The first one's from Jedi Geek Girl. It says, "What hero-only cards would you reprint to make heroes diverse and competitive, but fair and balanced?" So 0-cost hero reprints. Well, no, it doesn't say 0 cost.
You basically said 0-cost hero reprints.
But that's what they need because
that's probably where you're looking. Honestly, Caution and Lothcat.
Yeah, Caution was gonna be mine. Man,
They
come on,
need.
Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Lothcat wasn't the best. I mean, it was the worst. It was a less good version of He Doesn't Like You, but I think He Doesn't Like You was way too good.
Yeah.
He Doesn't Like You should never be reprinted. Lothcat should be.
Do you guys think Second Chance would be unfair?
I wouldn't reprint it. I don't think it'd be unfair, but
it's just dumb.
Like certain like staple upgrades and supports, like I don't know. I don't feel a need for them to be reprinted.
Yeah, none of them are even good enough.
No.
Like you could reprint Hyperspace Jump now, and it still would probably not make Hero like way too good, but they shouldn't reprint Hyperspace Jump because it's a dumb card.
Reprint Rallied. That's great.
That's not gonna help anything. The problem's not resources.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like Caution, like Rebel Assault could be like a little decent one for Red Hero type thing,
Rebel
but
Assault never saw any play to begin with.
Yeah, didn't really.
It's too narrow.
Yeah.
It's basically upper hand.
Hey, with all these shields, I wouldn't mind like a Riposte reprint. Make Blue Hero a little bit relevant.
Yes, if you were to just go 0-cost cross line, if you were to do Riposte, Caution, and Lothcat, I think you could come up with some hero decks that are a little bit better. Because yeah, part of Hero's problem is, oh well, you generate more shields, and shields are your mitigation, but it's like, no, I need to mitigate those resource dice that they put out, because that 2 resource side or that 1 resource side that they're going to ramp into ungodly amounts is worth more damage than 3 or 4 shields.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're rolling out Fist for max damage of 9, like your 3 shields aren't going to
Yeah, I'm like, I would rather mitigate the dice that let them get fist in.
Yep.
Brian, you got
Those
any?
are the-
I mean, I was toying with the idea of second chance, like I said, but like I think I agree with you guys in the fact that I was kind of thinking like, what would be? I don't want to say like call villain on their crap as far as like we know that these supports are busted, so why not bring in some busted stuff of the heroes of their own? But like that's literally the only card that I could think of that would even combat the things that villains are doing, and it's
Fair
not
trade.
even like a dice card.
Fair
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair trade could be one. That was neutral though, wasn't it? I believe.
Was it?
I think it was. Another interesting one is Destiny too. That remove any number of your blue dice, play a card from your hand for free that costs equal to or less than the combined value. I mean, if we're talking about blue heroes struggling to ramp, that could be something that is like it binds all thing is just too slow in this current world. So Destiny could be something, but Destiny I didn't really love to begin with.
That is the thing there, but I'm just like, all right, but what am I dropping?
Yeah. When we lose all of our good weapons, it's
Yeah.
tough too.
And even if you were to give me all those 2-cost weapons back again, I'm not playing Destiny to put them out. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's like,
All right, we'll roll on to our next one from Inception. Predictions for Balance of the Force Errata, which we already
see above.
talked about. Yeah, so rewind like 45 minutes if you want to catch that. And then Inception also asked, what are you most excited for at
Wait,
Worlds?
Hold on one second. For predictions, I actually think Watto gets changed too. I think they're gonna
Point
change-
increase or
No, maybe, but I think they're gonna make it so that his stuff is mitigatable from at least like something. Like most people have said, like just make it so he can't be mind tricked, so he's only immune to blue events. But like that again is one of those things. Like, don't make things that are not interactive.
yeah. Brian and I were talking about this too because it's like overall Watto's not impressive, but that game design is
Right.
just is against what the core of I feel like this game should be. Like non-interactive stuff is not something that should be printed.
You want to be able to answer.
I don't want to agree with Jack on that. I just have a soft spot for Watto, and I don't. Like I said, I don't think he's impressive. I don't think that he's one of those things that I sit down across the table and I'm like, ugh, Watto. You know what I mean? Like he's so
Yeah,
whatever.
but
like I see what you're saying about
Yeah.
the the design. Like it shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't.
Yeah, like zero cost dice. I think I mentioned this too. Like zero cost weren't necessarily oppressive. Like Force Speed could have found, but yeah, that came after Holocron. But it's like that's not a game design you want.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
then
agree.
and like ABG, I think talked about it on their most recent cast, how talking about like action cheating stuff, and how they said print more things like impulsive, not things that not things like drop in or that like do it on the rollout,
Mhm.
because those allow you for impulsive allows counterplay options, provided it's not chained with something like seize the day or instigate. Like that focus has to be on the board, or that card that dice they're going to resolve has to be on the board. You're able to make a choice. Like, am I going to get rid of that? No, I think I'm safe. No, I get hit with something. My bad. That's a choice that you can make. You can make play there. Whereas things that are just like, all right, they roll in, and if they roll really well, they just resolve and blow me off the table.
Yeah.
There's not as much choice there, and I think I, generally speaking, agree with that thought process of you want to give some options for some unfair hijinks, but you don't want that window to be as open as it is.
Speaking of unfair hijinks, I want to go back to the previous question for a second because I just remembered that Plan Explosion was a thing,
Okay.
and I want Plan Explosion.
You want to play
That's all.
Explosion?
Whatever
I
you
don't
want,
know if
kid.
that's- I love Plan Explosion.
Lando Wedge.
Lando Wedge, baby.
Wouldn't you just run Lando Padme now?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the
You just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You just do it
Starship?
everywhere.
Yeah, it's.
Um,
I love it.
All right. Yeah. So all three of us are currently planning to go to Worlds, so we all can answer this. What are you most excited for at Worlds from Inception?
I've never been, as I've mentioned before, and going to, like, this is my first year at Nova was last year, and my first year at PAX Unplugged was this year, and I think just like that opening moment of like going to a con and going, holy crap, look at all the stuff that's around, look at all the people that are around, look at like all of this. I like the experience of it is just so phenomenal. Like anytime that there's a con, I would absolutely instantaneously be like, all right, how are we doing this? How am I getting there? Jack, we gonna do a flight? What are we doing? You know.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm super pumped to get more spot glosses because that is an irrational want of mine. I got 5 out of the 6 at PAX this year.
Who'd you miss, Grievous?
I did miss Grievous, yes.
I agree with this.
I'm unemployed. No, thank you. I have to find a time to say no more. I'm gonna save my money.
Scott, what are you excited for at Worlds?
Basically what Brian said, just getting to go is nice. Like I haven't been able to go too many events over, honestly, most of the life of Destiny because I've been in school full time and working full time, and now just working full time, especially with when these events are happening outside of like the busy season for accounting is going to be great. I'll have like vacation time that I can actually use for it, so that's a little bit more palatable in that sense. But I get to go to Gen Con, I get to go to Nova, I get to go to Worlds. I just like going is just fun. And honestly, most of the time at these things, even though like I have a lot of fun playing in the events that I'm going there for, it's like playing the random ass game that you just like, all right, let's play a game of Outer Rim at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would echo a lot of that stuff as well. I think overall, I'm like split between like excited to see everybody that I saw last year, a lot of the people that I've kind of met through the podcast and content creation, and also just I love competing. So like being able to go to Worlds compete at the highest possible level of this game was an absolute blast last year. And just like the stories that come out of that and the banter that sometimes continues, I always find really funny. Like something along the lines of how Northeast is the only relevant place to play Destiny in the country, with 3 out of the top 4 from last year being from the Northeast, of course. So I always enjoy those things popping up and continuing with those things, or like Outrun following Edwin Chen to the bathroom in top 4 was a good thing as well. So I enjoy those things, all of those things, the competition, everything that comes with it.
I'll tell you what my least favorite part's gonna be.
What?
Spending so much time with Jack.
Dude, that'll be your favorite.
Ugh.
You're not even flying in with me if you're flying in on Friday. You don't even care about me.
Hey, listen, I don't know what my future... some of us are lucky enough to know what they're doing in October. I'll hope I can even go.
I don't even know where I'll be flying in from.
You could fly in with Inception. You guys could hold hands on the flight.
Yeah, warm his robot circuits.
Yeah. All right, so move on to the next one. This one is from Bat Manderson. Honestly, Sarcastic had some great ideas about lowering point costs on Balance of the Force list, like our characters Ayla and Phasma. What characters could use a point reduction? I'd be fine with both of them. Maybe a little bit cautious of Phasma because Red Villain seems to be good, and I believe she is a trooper leader now.
She is,
which is both of those things are very relevant for 13 point character to have. But I mean, at this point, I don't know. I'd maybe just do it. Definitely do Ayla, maybe Phasma.
She's not super threatening compared to other things now, although it's like, all right, well, maybe just cool it on giving villain stuff for a second. Ayla's not in this world, Ayla's not anymore she's not a 13-point character because she sees no play at 13 points. And she's not any more threatening than a lot of 12-point characters that we have. So maybe she just deserves to be off of it, and we'll see if, she can come out with like some aggressive deck there. I mean, she can't be as good as she was because there's like no hero sticks to pair with her if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, I think she fits into 12 points. She'll probably find a home in a 3-wide of vehicles.
Definitely. With what she does and the way her special and whatnot, but like, she's safe. She can't chain entourage because that's not how her special works. So you don't have to worry about that special. Yeah, I don't see Ayla not being safe. Brian said just take 2 points off the top of everything hero wise.
I'm looking to the hero list now to see what could you take off. I mean, I'm looking at things that I've never played before. So like Bo-Katan. Has anyone ever played Bo-Katan ever besides Flockton? Because
as we saw with the Balance of the Force for Infinite, you could take points off most characters in the game.
Yeah,
most characters that exist, you could take points off because they don't see play.
I mean, when's the last time anyone used Saw Gerrera? Let's be real. Has anyone ever?
He's
used
been a
Saul?
little relevant
Yes.
right now with Padme.
Saul Guerrera has come close. I mean, minus
5-0?
5-1 at the 1GQ.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
5-0 and
he
lost the
got-
last game.
And then he literally lost in like two. I mean, he basically lost round 1 because Saul died.
Yeah,
I think
Snow
he went to
Fast.
round 3, but
Oh,
it
there
was
is.
it was that game is like the hilarious example of where Hero is in this meta. It's like, yeah, this deck's gone 5-0. It's super aggressive, and then it just gets it got like utter.
And then the
Oh,
question,
not only did they kill a character, but they mitigated like 3 of the dice in the first turn.
the question is like, well, who did you play to get there? You know what I mean? Like it's.
It can vary, but like it's tough to win 5 games in a row.
Yeah. I would
So-
probably venture against, though, in standard taking anybody or just lowering points. I'm fine with taking people off balance of the force, but I'm not going to advocate just taking points off people.
It's not so much I'm worried about like taking points off people. I couldn't point you to one hero character that if you were to like shave points off would automatically make hero relevant, because I don't think it's their characters that are the problem.
No,
They-
and
they
it's
don't-
not about that either for me. It's just like I don't think FFG should get into that.
Well, because if you get into that, you're literally spending all of your time
Yeah.
playtesting sets you've already put out. Because, like I said, most characters in the game don't see much play, so you could probably shave a point or 2 off.
Yeah.
But you'd
Yeah.
have to test it. You'd have to look at it for a second. It's not like Infinite where you're just like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I think
Shave
I'd be
all-
kind of interested.
Shave
though,
all the
like,
points off everything.
I mean, not everything, but like if you had a balance of the force and you shaved points off of 1 or 2 characters, I think that opens up the idea that like the game is fresh and ever changing, and you could make new decks with this and like play around with what works and what doesn't. I mean, obviously, if it's not every character, like we said, not every character's needs that or should even have it at all. But like, I don't know, I'd be okay if I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm-
don't even think you just bother with it, personally.
I if they were to ever entertain the idea, I think the idea of like, all right, we're releasing an RRG for other reasons. We're gonna look at one character that we think we could will be made relevant by a point decrease. Because there's a bunch of characters you could decrease them by 1 or 2 points and they still wouldn't be relevant.
Yeah.
'Cause they just don't fit anywhere ever.
right.
All
So
right.
it's like, if I could be palatable to that, but like I wouldn't mind if they took Ayla off the balance of the force to maybe like try to interject some stuff into Hero.
Yeah, I'm all about that. So, all right, we'll try to burn through. We got a few more questions. We'll try to get through them a little bit quickly. I think we're just over an hour and a half. This next one is from Banana Crapshoot. Would you rather have a seasonal kit for prizes in open play or have a monthly event and give them out there? I think open play is probably better for the community. So that would be my vote.
I want a monthly event. I feel like not everyone can make it out the locals or like weeklies and such. If you did a monthly, I feel like, I mean, but not every store is gonna, as we've spent the first like 30 minutes of our cast talking, like not every.
Let's
Of course,
assume
we
perfect
can do
world
that.
though. For
Oh,
the
in a perfect
question,
world?
yeah.
Still monthlies. I
Scott.
don't know.
I'd say monthly, even though I can't make monthly events or weekend events.
I think if there's a kit
Don't you
like that
own
they're
the
giving
deck
out,
box for winning our escalation league.
yeah, it's at my house. You can get it tomorrow.
Yes.
I think if overall you're talking about, like if Banana's specifically referring to this like this current one that we just got with all the cards, I just think it's better to have something each week that players could walk away with. It would be better for a community, in my opinion.
I see what you mean. I see.
If
I see it either way.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
there is, and it's yours.
Oh, clearly. Besides that, I mean, look at just me in general. But I think that either way, I don't know. I think it's
Yeah.
fine. If we got seasonal kit prizes,
Yeah, dude, they're too expensive. $5 too much. There's product on the shelf, dude. Go buy that first.
I would if they let me.
All right. We'll move on to the next one from Jedi Geek Girl. When will Jack finish the solo trilogy? Probably in like 10 years. I'm such a slow reader. So,
Won't you listen to the books?
see me
You
in
can't
the...
be. You cannot be a slower reader than Tommy.
Yeah, maybe. There's a chance. Let's have a competition. Me and him will both start
Oh god.
this solo trilogy and see what happens.
That's why he's on audiobooks now.
I am as well. But the solo trilogy I bought, it's like a collector's edition thing. Looks pretty cool. So, but generally I'm audiobooks right now. I'm listening to the Dooku Asajj one, which has been fun.
I dropped off on the Master and Apprentice one, but I would like to get back into it. Anyway.
Yeah. So I know Jedi Geek Girl is asking that because I think she's going to have me on her show again to talk about the solo book and the solo the movie and just kind of analysis of that. So that'll be fun if I read the book, which hopefully I will.
Your ship to drop.
Yeah, Jack comes on, it goes down.
Sheesh.
These last two are actually both from Jedi Geek Girl as well. And if the Star Wars Destiny community or Star Wars Destiny died tomorrow, what would you do? Would you stick to the game to help create a player committee to continue the game, move to a different one? If so, which game? Or would you stop playing tabletop altogether? I will say that I would probably continue Destiny in a tabletop at my house. I probably wouldn't, bend over backwards to create a player committee to keep this game going, and I'd probably take competitiveness to something else. But I would still play Destiny at home.
I would fade away into the digital world. I feel like I probably put my time and effort into Smash Ultimate. This is the only tabletop game that I play, and I've tried Legion and X-Wing, both of which are a lot of work. As far as X-Wing just takes, I don't know, all the miniatures is just so much, and
it's a different experience coming from a miniatures gaming background.
And like I said, this is my first, card game. So it's while the experience has been wonderful, albeit a bit annoying at times, I don't see myself having much love for anything besides this. I'm not one of those Wreck and Rule / Naruto guys that just drops off. I got my love for Destiny. That's all.
Transformers they're doing cash prizes now.
Yeah, they just came out with OP.
I take my other statement. I need to cash. I'm good on that. I'd fade away into the digital world.
Player committees continuing the game. It's obviously been very successful with the original Star Wars with the card game, but I think that's because that game was, along with Magic and Pokemon, it was the original card game. It was back at a time where this wasn't a thing, and for a lot of people it captures so much of the Star Wars galaxy in a way that Destiny just never could. Literally, a lot of what I know about the old extended universe came from reading flavor text in that card game. So I can understand why that's been able to flourish. I don't know if Destiny could flourish through a player community, player committee community in the same way. And another reason for that is the player committee for, when you have a player committee, they're going to put out new sets because nobody really wants to play with the same game for forever.
That's the advantage they have. They don't have dice.
That's what I was about to say. It's a little harder when you have dice.
Yeah.
Would I move to it? Would I stop playing tabletop games? No, I played tabletop games before Destiny. I'll play tabletop games after Destiny. It satisfies an itch. My best friend and Tommy, we both like playing games. We'll just play games with each other if we have to. It's happened. Would I move to a different one? I'd probably get sucked into playing Transformers, since obviously Joe would vulture me immediately. Or I would just wait for whoever the hell makes Legendary to lose that license. Not Legendary, whatever. Versus, whoever makes Versus to lose that license, so I could play a Marvel card game.
Cool. All right, last one. Predictions for the exact top 4 for UK Nationals.
When does UK Nationals happen?
I believe it's this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend, so not RRG?
No.
All right, then 2 Snoke Photo... whatever. Fasts, a Phasma Sentinel, and Hero Mill. Yoda Leia.
Wow, that was literally my... Yeah, Savage. Asajj. All top 4.
Yep, all of them, and they're my exact list. Down to the two-shot collars and all.
If a non-hero mill deck makes the top 4, I'd be truly surprised, because I think
Non-mill
it's
hero
especially-
deck.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
especially in the best of 3 that heroes deficiencies show through.
I'm gonna be a little bit creative here with my answer. I'm gonna say Snook Watto Fast, Snook Watto Fast, Snook Watto Fast, Talzin Watto Watt.
That would be really
Yeah.
good.
I was
That's bold. It's bold, but you know.
I was gonna say that might. I think I would put the Talzin Watto deck into one of them. I'd probably do the Snook Watto Fost into 2 of them, and the third one could, some form of like. I mean, I want to say wheel bike, but like going through all of that. No. I think the Grievous, Sentinel Messenger, Super Battle Droid, wheel bike is a good deck. It's just a 3 cost support in which your entire deck hinges is very vandalizable.
Yeah.
So
All right, so it depends. So it has a window, because there hasn't been events. There hasn't been that many events. So it has a window in the sense that maybe people aren't playing Vandalize.
yeah.
Now, do I see a reason to not have Vandalize in the Snook Water Fast deck? Not especially, because your supports do all the heavy lifting for you. You could even leverage it against other things. And, like, why not give yourself an auto win against some decks?
Yeah, and you got Mega Blaster for 2 extra character dice.
Yeah,
Generally.
there's a lot of reasons you could run it in that deck. So you do run the risk of, like, all right, well, that's going to be a deck you have to worry about, and it's a deck that could run the card that you really worry about. But there's a window, because there isn't, like, the absolute pressing need to run Vandalize right now.
Yeah.
You could conceivably be like, oh, I'm not going to run it, and then just get eaten alive by a wheel bike with a bunch of laser cannons and be like, I should have ran that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here first. Here's the 3 different top 4s.
Basically, if you had to ask me in the top 4 how many different Mega Blaster Troopers and Vader Fist there's going to be,
Yes.
A lot.
All of them.
Yes.
Every single printed one is out there.
Did all 3 of my decks have all 3 of those in there? I don't remember what 3 decks I said. I said 2 Snow Guado Foss, the Talls in 1.
And we'll
Oh, and I said maybe
all of
Wheel
your
Bike, yeah.
all of your decks except for your wild card deck have the whole Unholy Trinity,
Yes.
not just
right.
the one that Phasma can access.
Yeah, and yeah. All right,
How many decks in the top 4 do you think are going to be running Forsaken?
all of them.
All of them except a Hero Mill.
Oh yeah, if they even then, man, I don't even know. We'll see if that makes it. All right, that's pretty much everything we covered. Tomorrow, or I guess today, probably when you're listening to this, on the 30th, we're going to be streaming at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have 2 rounds. We'll do myself versus Tommy, and we're going to do Scott versus Brian. And don't worry, we put Brian's deck list to a vote in our Discord with 3 viable decks, so Savage Asajj will not be here. And don't worry, we'll get that deck list out to the community eventually. I know everybody's been itching to play that.
I'm on probation. I have to be monitored closely.
Uh,
Really stupid shit. I don't know.
But yeah, so we'll be streaming on Twitch and YouTube with that. If you are looking to be more interactive with us, then Twitch is the option. I'm not sure if we have anything to give away. I have to double check the inventory. We might have some Golden Dice resource tokens that are super sweet that we might be able to give away. So if you are interested in that, join us on Twitch, because that's where the giveaway is done. But you'll see posts about it on Facebook, on Twitter. So definitely follow us on those. We're also on YouTube again if you prefer YouTube over Twitch. But I think that just about covers it. I'm excited to get back to streaming tomorrow. We're trying to work on recording weekly stuff at our open play nights at stores, but the lighting's kind of rough. We did it the other week; they didn't really come out too good. So we'll see if that ever gets off the ground for some extra content for you guys. But
after Tuesday, so who knows?
Yeah, we could back at Top Deck or at my house. We'll see.
Yep.
We will see. Yeah. Other than that, you guys have anything else that you want to add?
No, I think I've said more than I've ever said on a podcast before. So.
Yeah.
All right. With that, Brian, I'll let you close out.
No one's ever really gone.